Ready to dig into some classic Marvel, huh? We're talking about a time when the House of Ideas took a gamble so big, it could have changed the game entirely.
A time when heroes were villains and villains, well, they were still kind of villains.
We're diving into the world of the Thunderbolts.
Ah, the Thunderbolts. A team shrouded in deception, grappling with redemption, and packing enough firepower to level a city block.
This isn't your typical superhero team, folks. We're talking about a group of hardcore villains pretending to be the good guys.
And believe me, the Marvel Universe was in no shape for another shakeup back then. Picture this. It's 1996.
Wait, 1996? Wasn't that when Marvel was on the ropes, financially speaking?
On the ropes, they were practically filing for superhero bankruptcy. It was a chaotic time.
So not exactly the ideal climate to launch a radical new team. What was the comic book landscape like back then?
It was a mixed bag, really. The X-Men, they were riding high.
Right. The animated series, the merchandise, they were everywhere.
Exactly. But other titles, they weren't so lucky. Take Spider-Man, for example. The Clone Saga. Yeah, let's just say it wasn't exactly a fan favorite.
Too many clones, not enough web slinging.
Something like that. It was a convoluted mess. And to add insult to injury, Marvel had gone and leased out some of their biggest names.
Yep.
Fantastic Four, Iron Man, you name it, to Image Comics for that Heroes Reborn event.
Hold on. They, what? Leased out their characters. That's like McDonald's lending out the Big Mac recipe.
Desperate times, my friend. They needed a win, and they were willing to try anything.
So into this chaotic world, they introduced the Thunderbolts, a team of villains disguised as heroes. Talk about a risky move.
Risky. It was brilliant. See, with the Fantastic Four and the Avengers off on their little Heroes Reborn vacation, there was a void in the Marvel Universe. A void that Baron Zemo, mastermind extraordinaire, saw as his golden opportunity.
Baron Zemo. Now there's a name that sends shivers down your spine.
He's not exactly known for his warm and fuzzy personality. Zemo saw a chance to step in, fill the void, and manipulate the public's trust, all while secretly working towards his own nefarious goals.
And the Thunderbolts were his pawns in this game.
Let's just say he had a very persuasive way of bringing the team together.
Okay, so we've got a team of villains pretending to be heroes, led by a guy who makes Dr. Doom look like a Boy Scout. How did they even begin to pull this off? Were readers in on the joke from the get-go?
That, my friend, is the beauty of Kurt Busiek's writing.
Busiek, the mastermind behind Marvels, he's got a knack for shaking things up.
Yeah, and shake things up he did. The series launched with the Thunderbolts already assembled, already presented as heroes. No origin story, no gradual unveiling.
So readers were immediately thrown into the deep end, wondering who these guys were and what they were really up to.
Exactly. Busiek, along with artist Mark Bagley, they crafted a world where nothing was as it seemed. They understood the power of a good mystery, of keeping the audience guessing.
It's like watching a magic trick. You know something's up, but you can't quite put your finger on it.
And just like a magic trick, the Thunderbolts were full of surprises, twists, and turns that kept readers on the edge of their seats.
So we've got Zemo pulling the strings, a team of villains playing dress-up as heroes. What's their game plan? How do they present themselves to the world?
Well, that's where things get interesting. You see, the Thunderbolts, they didn't go for the whole doom and gloom thing, the dark and gritty thing that was so popular back then.
Right, like, we're former villains here to brood and make you feel bad about your life choices.
Exactly. But the Thunderbolts, they zigged when everyone else zagged. They went with a surprisingly, well, upbeat approach.
Upbeat? You mean like have a nice day upbeat?
Think more like, we're here to save the day and look good doing it. Bright costumes, cheesy catchphrases, the whole 9 yards. They even had a direct line to the mayor's office.
Right, seriously. The mayor was cool with a bunch of ex-cons running around in spandex.
Hey, everyone loves a good redemption story, right?
I guess so, but it still feels a little off, you know? Like, these are hardened criminals we're talking about, not some community watch group. Was this intentional on Busiek's part? This tonal clash, I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Remember, Busiek, he's a master of contrast. He understands that to tell a truly compelling story, you need those layers, those contradictions. And the Thunderbolts were full of them.
So it's like he's playing with our expectations. We see these heroes, these seemingly noble figures, but in the back of our minds, we know they're capable of terrible things.
Precisely. It's like watching a house of cards. You know it's going to collapse eventually, but you can't help but be mesmerized by how long it stays standing.
And all the while, Zemo's there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike.
Oh, Zemo always has a plan. But, and this is crucial, not all of the Thunderbolts were on board with his whole world domination scheme.
Really? Some of them were actually starting to enjoy playing the hero role.
Some of them, yeah. They started to see the good they could do, the people they could help. It's like they got a taste of redemption and didn't want to let go.
So now we've got internal conflict brewing, a moral tug of war within the team itself. That's got to create some tension. How did the rest of the Marvel Universe react to these new kids on the block?
With a healthy dose of skepticism, you could say.
Understandably so.
Especially the Avengers. They had just returned from that whole Heroes Reborn debacle and were in no mood for another cosmic shakeup.
Iron Man, I bet he was a real charmer about it.
Oh, you know, Tony? Trust but verify, especially when it comes to guys like Zemo.
So, how did the truth come out? Was it a gradual unraveling, or did the whole charade explode all at once?
Let's just say, Zemo's plans rarely go smoothly, especially when you've got a team full of volatile personalities and conflicting agendas.
And some of them with a newfound sense of heroism.
Exactly. Things were bound to get messy. And trust me, they did. The confrontation, when it finally happened, shook the Marvel Universe to its core.
Okay, so Zemo's plan blows up in his face, the Thunderbolts are exposed, all hell breaks loose. What happens to the team after that? I mean, do they even stay together?
Well, you'd think that would be the end of the line, right? Villains exposed, trust shattered, game over.
It's not exactly a recipe for a happy ending.
But that's the thing about the Thunderbolts. They never quite went the way you'd expect. See, even with all the chaos, all the betrayal, there was still something there. A spark.
A spark of what? Redemption?
Maybe. Or maybe it was just the sheer audacity of it all. They had tasted what it was like to be seen as heroes, to make a difference, and some of them, they weren't ready to give that up.
So what? They just decided to become the good guys for real. Just like that.
It wasn't that simple, of course. It was a process, a long and winding road filled with missteps and setbacks. Remember, these were still villains at heart, with their own demons and motivations.
And Zemo, surely he wasn't just going to sit back and let them play hero.
Oh, Zemo always had an angle, always a scheme brewing. But the Thunderbolts, they proved to be a more resilient bunch than he anticipated. They fought back, both against their enemies and against their own natures.
So they carved out their own path, a team of reformed villains trying to find their place in a world that didn't quite trust them.
And they weren't always successful. There were times when they stumbled, when they gave in to their darker impulses, but there was also a nobility to their struggle, a willingness to fight for something more than themselves.
It's like that old saying, every saint has a past and every sinner has a future.
Exactly. And the Thunderbolts, they embodied that duality. They were a walking contradiction, a team of villains trying to be heroes, and in doing so, they challenged everything we thought we knew about good and evil.
And how did the Marvel Universe at large respond to this evolution, let's call it?
With a mix of curiosity, apprehension, and a healthy dose of we'll believe it when we see it. The Thunderbolts, they had a lot to prove, and they knew it.
They had to earn that trust, one battle, one mission at a time.
Precisely. And they did. They faced down threats that would make even the Avengers sweat. They stood up for those who couldn't stand up for themselves. And slowly but surely, they began to earn the respect, if not the full trust, of the superhero community.
And the readers, did they embrace this new direction for the team?
Oh, absolutely. The Thunderbolts became a fan-favorite team precisely because they were so different, so unpredictable. Readers were drawn to their struggles, their triumphs, and their unique brand of anti-heroism.
It sounds like they tapped into something special, a desire to see characters evolve, to challenge the status quo.
The Thunderbolts proved that even in a world of black and white, there's always room for shades of gray. And that sometimes the greatest heroes are the ones who have to fight the hardest to overcome their own darkness.
It's a powerful message and one that continues to resonate with fans today. Well, there you have it, folks. The Thunderbolts. A team that defied expectations, challenged conventions, and proved that sometimes the greatest stories are those that dare to explore the complexities of redemption, morality, and the ever-shifting line between hero and villain. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and remember, in the world of comics, anything is possible.